Hey everybody, Nate from PostNow. Today we're going to do a really fun training. I'm going to show you how to use postal code data to target a direct mail campaign to the neighbors of existing customers. And we're going to do this from a real world perspective today, thinking along the lines of a home services business. So think lawn care, roofing, carpet cleaning, furnaces, plumbing, electrical, anything that you're delivering a service to the customer, and that home kind of renovation aspect. What's neat about home renovations and home services is oftentimes neighbors need the same services. So furnaces break down, it's very likely that other neighbors are also in need of a new furnace or considering replacing. Same goes for roofing or lawn care, where if you can get one lawn care client and if you can bolster that with a few more in the same area, your cost per acquisition goes down, your general revenue and profit split will improve. So there's a lot of advantages to acquiring customers in the same neighborhoods as your existing ones. But it's super hard to target them, and targeting them at a cost-effective way has always been really, really difficult. And if you think digital, like, it's just not possible to get that granular. And so let's look at a map here. And so today I've got some sample data, and this is real data. I'm not going to tell you where it's from, but it's actual customer data. And I've got a few weeks worth of data here, and I've already mapped a couple of these. So I've mapped 2 weeks, and I'm going to show you how to map the third week here with a list of postal codes that are inside of a Google Sheet or an Excel sheet. And then we're going to build a campaign in PostNow and get that into the mail. And what's neat about a postal code targeting campaign, we'll cover this a little bit more, is how quickly it can be delivered. We've seen campaigns inducted or delivered to Canada Post for final delivery, and those PCT or postal code targeting pieces have been in homes in under 48 hours. So very, very quickly. If you're unfamiliar with how a 6-digit postal code works, I mean, I know I wasn't, didn't really understand how they work. I think we're all pretty familiar with how like a 3-digit postal code works. So like if I search T5T in Edmonton, it's going to give me a pretty large area, and I could pull up a T5T area map to get a better visualization of this. But from like a boundary map perspective, you can see it covers an awfully large area. And switching back to the postal code, that's all of west side of Edmonton, thousands and thousands of homes. Digital lets you target that 3-digit one, but it doesn't let you get any granular than that. So we're going to look up something different here. Let's just pull up a different one. Let's go T8A0A5. That looks good. Oh. Sorry, I meant T8N. So here's, I'll zoom out so you can see where we're at. We're in St. Albert, just outside of Edmonton. And zooming back into this, if you type in a 6-digit postal code inside of Google Maps, it'll outline the area. And if I zoom in enough, I can count how many homes are in this postal code. Postal code targeting from Canada Post, which is different than neighborhood mail, in that postal code targeting lets me target just this group of homes. And then I can target a different group of homes in a different area. And going back to using this for a home services business, if I look at this sample data, these are all of the customers that had services supplied to them within a week period, the postal codes of those customers. And we've mapped that as mentioned here. So I've got this week 2 and week 1. And the goal of this campaign has been to reach out to the neighbors of these individual postal code customers. It's a really strong way to drive repetition. So that's what we're doing here. That's how granular we can go, is these little tiny areas. Most postal codes run between 15 and 20 homes. with the exception of, this is a little bit of an exception, there's probably about 30 homes on the outside loop of this crescent, as well as condo towers. condo towers will often have a single postal code for all the units in that condo tower, and so sometimes we'll see upwards of 300 or 400 units in a condo tower that fall under a single postal code. Okay, so first thing, I do want to map my data because there may be some postal codes that fall in rural areas that I do want to potentially remove from my final list. Rural is very different. We can talk about that in a different video, but for today we're targeting urban is really what we're doing. So I've got this week 3 tab inside of my data sheet, and to import this inside of Google My Maps, and if you haven't seen that, check it out. It's mymaps.google.com. It lets you create custom maps and add different layers of data. And so on this map, I've got 2 current layers of data. I've got my blue, which was my week 1 pins, and I've got my red, which is my week 2 pins. I want to import my data from week 3. And so I'm going to start by selecting import, and I'm just going to search for my PCT sample data. And so this is before I click this, I'll show you, this is the file name of my Google Sheet where I'm storing my data. Now, a tip here, I've got multiple multiple tabs inside of my sheet. And this did not give me the option to select which tab. When you import, by default, it will always import the first table or first tab inside of your Google Sheet. And so what we've been doing is when we make a new week, we will add a new tab and then just reorder it so that the new data is pulled into the map. So if I go back here, I'm just going to select the columns that I want to import. In this case, I only have postal codes, so it's nice and easy. Google does recognize postal codes if they're formatted properly with a space down the middle. It will recognize them as Canadian points. And so I can just hit finish, and it's going to load all of those data points. By default, they came in blue. And so I'm going to quickly style them a different color by going to the layer, hovering over the all items, and clicking the little color bucket. Let's go with a nice green one on this one. And so now here are all of my new week 3 points of call. If I zoom out and let's just get rid of our week 2 and week 1s to unclutter this, there's no rural ones that I'm too worried about. We'll find out when we run this if any of them have exceptionally high counts in them, and we may remove those. We'll just make that judgment as we go. And this is really the part that can take a little bit of time, is making sure that you're not sending to areas you really don't want to. In general, this client does do a little bit of preliminary cleaning and make sure that they remove areas that they're really not interested in. And we have instructed them that rural properties, for example, aren't a good one to send over to us. So this is pretty nice of them to do. It's very easy to pull your address list out of most CRMs, and that's what we do encourage clients to do when they work with us on a campaign like this. So let's start building this campaign. And if you haven't seen PostNow, check out some of our other videos. We're a direct mail platform that lets you order and manage your campaigns online. And so this is all delivered through Canada Post. We can hit every home in Canada. Our cost per piece is exceptional, and you get to work with our direct mail concierge team to make sure your campaigns are going to work as effectively as you hope they are. So we'll give you recommendations on what does and doesn't work for certain marketing industries and objectives here. So to get started, let's pop into our direct mail campaign builder. So we'll go to the Create Direct Mail campaign. And we're going to call this our PCT Home Services demo. We're going to select the Postal Code Targeting mail type. As mentioned, neighborhood mail, which you may have done in the past, and Postal Code Targeting are not the same. Check out some of our other videos talking about that. We're going to select our induction date. And so this is how quickly the mail campaign can be created and kicked off to Canada Post for final delivery. It's pretty short. Looks like we're about a 4-day production window right now. Not too bad. And we're going to create a new list today. So if I had a list, for example, use one of my existing lists. If I had an existing list that I wanted to reuse, I can pick it from here, nice and easy. Today, though, we're going to build a new postal code targeted audience, since this is, this is the week 3 list that we're sending out to. So we'll select, pick a new postal code. We're going to give this we're going to give this audience a name, and let's call this PCT Home Service Demo Week 3. We're going to select the bulk postal code lookup. And if you haven't used this before, I'll walk you through it as we go. So this lets you instantly get a count for how many houses are in a group of postal codes. So if I take this list of postal codes, and I'm going to just copy this list of data, pop back over to my builder, and I'm going to paste this here. So I'm going to right click and hit paste, and it'll automatically paste them in. It formats them appropriately for our system here, so you'll notice the spaces are here. If I try to add spaces, it won't let me, so it's all good. So once I've got the postal codes that I want to get a count for, I'm going to hit Get Household Count. Within a few seconds, you'll get the total count for those postal codes, and we're about 1198. It's too many. Something's wrong here. And so we're going to try to identify which ones are problematic and potentially remove some of them. This is getting a little bit more of an advanced way to manage this, since this data isn't really available anywhere, and getting it on an individual postal code level isn't something that's really supposed to be available. But we've kind of made our system so you can utilize it in a way that will help you identify particular postal codes that might be a little bit too hot. So here's what we're going to do. Instead of us adding these households to our audience, which if I add them, then they would show up down below in my final audience postal code counts. I don't want to do that yet. I'm just going to reset this. And what I would have expected to see is about, like as mentioned, somewhere between like 20 homes on average per postal code. I've got 29 postal codes, and so 29 times 20, I should have been around 580. And so if I'm hitting 1200, I've almost double. And so that makes me wonder, I might have something in here that's an apartment and is trying to send out to a whole bunch of them. So what I do is, it's kind of a bit of a manual process, but we're going to do it quickly. I just split the list in half. And so we're going to go to 16 here. And we just start working our way through these. So I'm going to paste these in here. And I'm going to get the household count. And I'm looking for that kind of number that matches. And so this half is about 630. So somewhere in here is a bad one. I'm just going to recopy well, let's just recopy some of these. We're going to delete this. I'm going to go back. We're just going to cut down to the first 7 now. You can see what we're doing. We're just trying to find the group of them the quickest way that has a problem. This still is about half, so a bunch of these let's get rid of this, are a little bit tricky. So here's a good group though, 40 out of these 3. That's really what I would expect to see. And so these are our first 3 here. 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to put yes, yes, yes. And if I go back to here, I'm going to add these to my audience. So now they are down here in my finalized audience. I'm up to 40 so far. So I'm going to reset this, and let's just keep going on the next little batch of 4 here, because we know there's something in here that's high. When I find one that's high, you'll understand what I mean. That it doesn't necessarily meet the goals of what we're trying to do. So these 4 have 332. It's just not right here. So let's cut these ones. Let's get rid of a couple of these and try again. 17. These 2 are great, so let's just add these 2 in. And then we can, we're gonna just put our, just so you know, if you happen to put the same one in, when you add it to your final audience, it's not gonna count twice. So you will get a final count that doesn't include any duplicates. It's just sometimes this can take a little bit. So one of these is my big ones. Let's find out if it's this one. Nope, that one's good. Okay, so this one, here's a good example of a bad postal code for postal code targeting, 305. Let's look at what this is. So I'm going to copy this. I'm just going to pop over to my Google map here, and let's pop this in here. Let's see what we get. So here's where it is. And so if I look at this, by the looks of it, there's an apartment building here. Yeah, it's got maybe 1, 2, 3 homes in here, and then whatever this apartment complex is. Westview, Village, Community Playground, whatever is here is being included in this too. It could be that there's a business in here with a bunch of points of call. So like either way, I don't really want to use this particular postal code because I don't want to send 305 to an apartment building. It doesn't fit my home service business model. And so, yeah, this did take a little bit of time, but by not sending this, I probably saved more than $100 on this campaign. And so this is the T5S1T5. I'm just going to mark that one in here as a no-go. Nope. Everything else we're in. We're doing good here. So same thing. Let's just take another group of 4, pop them in here. Oops, we got that one in there. We'll get rid of it. See what we get. 108. Totally normal. 4. 25, 26 a piece. We're good there. So these ones are all good. Yes, yes, yes. Let's do the next batch of 4. Oops. Oops. We messed up. Let's just delete these and try this again. Another group of 4, 150. It's a little high. I know the other one we kind of let go, but it might be interesting to see if we're dealing with one that's particularly high. So these two are 54, so that other one's got, these ones are fine. Let's pop those ones in. Let's get rid of this. If I'm going fast, you're always welcome to reach out to us. This is just, I think, you'll catch on as I keep going here of what we're trying to accomplish here to find the bad one, right? So like that one is a little bit high, 58. So same thing, I'm just gonna identify if this is one that I wanna target. And so if I look at this, same thing. So these look like kind of duplexes. And if they're owned and they're like a kind of duplex seniors complex, chances are I do want to be sending here because these all probably have the type of services that I can offer. They're not renters, they're high quality. So we're going to keep all that in. So essentially, we're just going to keep these 4. Seems a little bit high, but that's okay. Let's add them in. All right. So we'll keep going here. Let's take another batch, reset, paste. 119, totally normal. So we're good all the way to here. Something in here is really off, 278 for 4, right? So we're gonna do the whole, let's cut out half of them. Find out if we can find the bad batch. Nope, these ones look good. So we're gonna add these 2, reset, we'll put those other 2 back. One of these is the bad one, so let's start getting rid of that one. 23, that one looks good. So it's that last one as always. 197. Okay, let's just double check, make sure it's not an apartment building. Come on, Google. See what you got. Yeah, Hadwick Gate. Just looks like a pretty tight area. So yeah, it's a lot there, but we'll reach out to them and send them. We'll get them included as well. Get those ones added, and we're gonna get this last batch added. So honestly, this is a pretty rare situation. We already added that one. where the big ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they're all part of kind of complexes where we would want to target them. You're each going to have your own kind of target areas where you do or do not want more customers from. And so I think that's really the takeaway from here, is to understand that if you can pick the right customers that you love and that you know their little neighborhoods are perfect for what you do, this is how you target them. So I've got these all added. I got them all added. Let's just do that one more time. If I scroll down here, I've got 893 names. We did take out a couple, so my list is totally finalized here. Now, in this case, I'm sending out postcards, and so I'm going to select the postcard option. I've got a cost already here, right? So my postage rate with postal code targeting is 38 cents per piece, and my print goes up and down with the volume. And so at $8.93, we're about 62 cents per postcard, which is a really, really good price. And there is no added data cost with postal code targeting. That's probably its biggest benefit, is that you don't have added costs for the data. It's just included to have the addresses printed on the mail pieces. So we're going to scroll down here, select from our template gallery. If I have a template I really want to pick from, it's going to be available in here. In this case, I'm just going to select a random one here. So we'll just pick one of these guys. I'll finish scrolling down to the bottom. I can add any extra notes. So this is just a demo. And then once you're done there, we're going to agree to the terms and conditions. We're not going to go as far as the proofing portal and running through that. Or I don't think we will. Who knows? Nope. We'll go through the checkout though, so you can kind of see the completion of this process. What's nice is the moment you check out, the order is sent to our production team. And if you've worked with us in the past, we've likely got your logos, your files, other information. And so we can get started working on your template right away. Or we may already have a template ready to go and we can start printing right away. And so if you're paying for your campaign at time of purchase, it does speed it up and help us get your campaign into the mail as fast as we can. And with postal code targeting, as mentioned, that's days. Days that you can have a physical mail piece in customers' hands or potential customers' hands right after they've seen your truck park in someone's driveway for the last, maybe a couple days even. So that's why this works so well, is there's added brand recognition because you've just been servicing. The customers may even be talking to their neighbors about how awesome you are. And I think this is a really unique way to leverage that. This hasn't been possible before. And the reason it hasn't been possible before is that Canada Post hasn't really made this data accessible. Mail houses where you can get access to this data, they don't want to spend time talking to a customer for a few $100 order when they don't make any money on the postal code data. And I think that's the biggest challenge with this product. And so with PostNow, because you can create your audiences quickly, easily, without having to talk to us, and you can mess around until you get the right size audience, this is a really great way to do a type of marketing that not very many other companies in your industry are doing, if any. So contact us. We'd love to talk to you about strategy around this and how you can make postal code targeting work for yourself. So for those of you that have placed an order, you'll recognize the screen. It's pretty straightforward. Fill out your order details, put in your payment details. If you've got a credit card saved, toss it in there. If you have a coupon code from us or from your own company, toss it in here. We'll just do this so I can complete this order. And once you're done, just make sure you agree to our terms and conditions and place that order. Thanks for watching. I hope this was informative about how you can use postal code targeting to impact your own home service business. As mentioned, we'd love to hear from you and help you out with your own marketing. Thanks.